please fold your hands and please chant after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Narayana Namaskrityam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswati Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Nashta Prayeshu Ya Bhatreshu.
Nastapayeshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtikim.
Bhaktiri Bhavati Naishtikim.
Thank you again for joining, and we'll read the chapter. We'll read the verse, and you can join after me. So let's read the verse. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Shashvat chantim nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhakta pranashyati. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Shashvat chantim nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhakta pranashyati. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Shashvat chantim nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhakta pranashyati. Anyone want to read the words?
Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Shasvat shantim nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijanati. Name bhakta pranashyati.
Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Shashvat shanti nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhaktah pranashyati.
Thank you, Mataji. We'll read the word for word translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shipram. Very soon.
Very soon.
Bhavati. Becomes. Dharmatma. Righteous. Shashvat Shantam. Lasting peace. Nigacchati. Attains. Kaunteya.
Kaunte,
O son of Kunti,
O son of
son of Kunti,
Pratijanihi,
Pratijani,
Pratijanihi,
just declare,
justly declare,
na never,
none,
no, ever,
me,
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 mine,
my,
Bhakta,
Bhakta,
devotee,
devotee,
Pranashati,
Pranashati,
perish.
Precious.
Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please repeat. He quickly becomes righteous
He quickly becomes righteous
Right.
and attains lasting peace.
and
and
attain
attains
last.
lasting peace.
O son of Kunti,
O son of Kunti,
O son of Kunti,
declare it boldly
declare
declare
it
it
boldly
boldly
that my devotee never perishes.
that my
that my
devotee
devotee never perishes.
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
There.
This should not be misunderstood. In the 7th chapter, the Lord says that one who engaged in mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. One who is not a devotee of the Lord has no good qualifications whatsoever. The question remains then, how can a person engaged in abominable activities, either by accident or intention, be a pure devotee? This question may justly be raised. The miscreants, as stated in the 7th chapter, who never come to the devotional service of the Lord, have no good qualification, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Generally, a devotee who is engaged in the 9 kinds of devotional activities is engaged in the process of cleansing all material contaminations from the heart. He puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all sinful contaminations are naturally washed away. Continuous thinking of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord, makes him pure by nature. According to the Vedas, there is a certain regulation that if one falls down from his exalted position, he has to undergo certain ritualistic processes to purify himself. But here, there is no such condition because the purifying process is already there in the heart of the devotee due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare should be continued without stoppage. This will protect a devotee from all accidental fall downs. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contaminations. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Padakamal Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagara Jatam Saganatam Tam Sajivam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Shri Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shubhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. All right, thank you everyone for joining in. And this verse is actually a continuation, of the last 2 verses. It's like a conclusion of, a conclusion, you can say, of the last 2 verses. So we'll just go over the last 2 verses, like verse number 30 and 31. So in verse number 29, Krishna says, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I'm equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend. He is in me, and I'm also a friend of him. Verse 30 says, even if one commits the most abominable action, is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he's properly situated in his determination. So it kind of seems a little, contradictory when Krishna says, "I envy no one, and nor am I partial to anyone." So he's equal to everyone. So you would think when you say I'm not partial to anybody, that means like there is no nepotism. But here you can see there is some kind of a nepotism, and it's divine. So it's like it's okay. Whoever renders service unto me, whoever kind of tries to please me, is in devotion is a friend. He's in me, and I'm a friend of him. I'm a friend to him. Now, how does that happen? Because what happens? Krishna says like Srila Prabhupada says like when we think of Krishna, when we think of Krishna, Krishna is actually thinking of us. And when Krishna thinks of us, what happens? Krishna is pure. Every purity, the purity comes from Krishna. So what happens? Because he's pure, when he's thinking of us, anything becoming associated with Krishna becomes pure. So, like we may be actually doing things, most of us are like we're not doing things in pure devotion. What are we doing? We are doing things like we're always doing things with we're doing things like with a result in mind, or like and those who like those we're thinking like, oh, we're going to be enjoying something after we will be offering to Krishna, but ultimately because we are not purified, we think, oh, there is some result. We're making prasadam for Krishna, but then at the back of our mind, we still think, oh, we're going to eat it at some point. So there's no pure devotional service there. But what happens is like when something is like offered to Krishna, then like when we think of the result as a mode of passion. So actually that mode of passion is kind of reduced, and there is an increase in mode of goodness when things are done for Krishna. So when things are done in a mode of goodness, there's a little bit of purity, purity increases, and the desire in our mind to think about Krishna increases. And and those who are on that path will eventually, will start continuously thinking of Krishna more and more. And when that thinking of Krishna becomes more and more, Krishna starts thinking about us more and more. And then eventually such a person is purified. So that's what in the next verse Krishna is telling. Even if one who commits abominable action, if he's engaged in devotional service, he's to be considered saintly because he's properly situated in his determination. Like most of us are like conditioned we are all at different levels of conditioning. Like so we are not, like I said before, we are not at pure devotional service as yet. So because of our conditioning, it's quite possible we may fall down, not occasionally, very often. Then what do we do? We just get up and start following once more. So so like in this verse, where was I? Yeah, so because of our conditioning, we we could be performing something really bad. But if that determination is there, if we to worship Krishna, then the person who is worshiping Krishna should be considered as properly situated. And now the main difference between there's karma yoga, then there's bhakti yoga. What's the main difference between karma yoga and bhakti yoga? In karma yoga, the activity, the results are offered after the activity. So you have to do some activity, and then you offer the results to Krishna. So, but in bhakti yoga, what happens is like the activity itself is an offering to Krishna. So there's no question of the results are already there, like offered. The activity itself is offered to Krishna. So so somebody is like who may be who may be doing things in karma yoga. There is purification. He's offering his results to Krishna, but eventually that karma yoga, because of his purification, turns into bhakti yoga. Then he starts, his activity itself will be an offering to Krishna. So so somebody like who may be doing abominable activities, maybe like in a mode of passion. So he is he is still to be considered like pure, and and nobody should like actually think of him as fallen. Now in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, like, this should not be misunderstood. In the 7th chapter, the Lord says, one who is engaged in mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. So if you go like in the 7th chapter, like Krishna talks about like people who, who never surrender to the Lord, or they're atheistic. Those whose minds are distorted by material desire surrender unto the demigods and follow particular rules and regulations, worship according to their own natures. So so such people, like he talks about 4 kinds of people, like who never surrender to the Supreme Lord. And what happens to them? They're mainly considered atheistic. So we cannot include those people as as this one. Like these people also will be doing abominable activities for their own sense gratification. And but then there are other people, because of their conditioned nature, they're worshiping Krishna, but because they're conditioned, they might fall down. But we have to differentiate between them. Main thing is, like, one person is worshiping Sri Krishna, is surrendered to Sri Krishna. Other person is actually not surrendered. They might be doing surrender to the demigods. They might be surrendered to something else. But that's the main difference. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is telling us here. Like we should not we should not we should not consider these as similar, because the people who are atheistic, they have no good qualifications whatsoever. Like sometimes we wonder, like, these atheistic people, sometimes they're very good. Like we might see them in our offices, we might see them like as our neighbors and all. They're always trying to help you. They're always trying to do good for other people. But one thing we have to remember is like when they're really in a place in a very bad situation, like in a very, then they might not be very good. You have to, but those who are saintly in whatever situation they are, like we can remember Haridas Thakur. He was being beaten up by 20 marketplaces, and he never like even tried to defend himself. But as somebody who's atheistic, they would never do that. Then they would they would try to like attack the soldiers or whatever. But Haridas Thakur was so surrendered, like, so you can see that's an example, like how difference between a theistic and atheistic person. And other thing we have to remember, all these atheistic people, like, who are doing good for others, it's actually a form of sense gratification, because they like to hear other people tell them, oh, you're so nice, you're so kind. And then you also get a sense of, like, when you're doing good to others, you get a sense of you feel good. Like you give somebody some food, you feel happy. Of like if you give some poor man some food, you feel happy. You've fed the poor man, and you get a sense, you feel happy about it. But why are you feeling happy? It's like sense gratification. I'm great or something. But our actual thing should be our service to Krishna, not our own like feeling that I'm great at helping this person. So that's the difference. Like, so the atheistic people, they might seem to be a good people, but really, like, they have, Srila Prabhupada says, atheistic people have no good quality. So a devotee, even if he's like is doing very bad things, he should be considered better than an atheist. Then like and another thing Srila Prabhupada says in this in the purport is like a person who is engaged, he's actually he's purifying himself. Is by constantly like doing devotional service, he's purifying himself. And like how does that purification, like I said, Krishna thinks of this person, so purification comes from Krishna. Other thing is because when that person does abominable activity, what happens is like there is a regret and remorse, and then he will, you know, like he will pray to he'll remorse, he'll pray to, oh Krishna, I've fallen down, I've done such horrible things, now please forgive me. Like, and at least there's some sense of remorse. Then later on, if he repeats it again, he feels remorse. And eventually he'll come to a point, you know, he'll stop doing such things if he's continuously thinking of Krishna. But at the same time, you know, we should not think like, you know, we can just pray to Krishna and Krishna will keep protecting us. Like you know, like one of the offenses against the holy name, like the seventh offense against the holy name is doing sinful activities while on the strength of chanting the holy names of the Lord. So if you're chanting and doing sinful activities, thinking, okay, I'm going to chant, and you know, this whatever I've done here will go away. And so if that is, you're actually, you know, it's you're committing a bigger sin than the actual sin you're committing. So if you're committing a sin by you know, because you're fallen down or something, it's, you know, Krishna will forgive you, and then, you know, he'll take you back. But if you're doing sinful things, thinking, well, because I'm chanting, it's going to be forgiven, it's even worse than, you know, the actual sin. That's a bigger sin. That's what we need to understand. Now, like again, Srila Prabhupada talks about the purificatory ceremonies in this. And you know, like the Smarta Brahmins, they have like all kinds of rules and regulations, and you know, like they are more focused on the rules and regulation than the result behind it. The purpose of all the rules and regulations is, the reason for all the rules and regulation is to purify us, so that we become closer to Krishna and we think of Krishna. But what the Smartas is for them, like thinking the final result is not important, but rather the rules and regulations are more important. So Srila Prabhupada, in his translation in the Nectar of Instruction, he says, you know, like one's devotional service is spoiled because it becomes too entangled in the 6 activities: eating more than necessary, or collecting more funds than required, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting rules and regulations of the scriptures, working independently or whimsically. So the thing is like this, the point 4 is practicing scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. So the rules are meant for spiritual advancement. And if somebody is thinking of Krishna, he is actually like just following the rules. So if somebody is chanting, the purification is already happening. When somebody is chanting, like Srila Prabhupada says, his words here, because the purifying process is already there in the heart of the devotee due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. Therefore, chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare should be continued without stoppage. This will protect the devotee from all accidental fall downs. So if one is continuously chanting, but happens to fall down, he'll still be protected. But don't do activities thinking, you know, like this holy name is going to protect me. So the thing is, like any person any person who's coming to the temple, we should not be judging him. We have to see that he's like worshiping Krishna. That means he's on the right path, and he should be considered, he should be considered like as a devotee, and we should not like, we should not like disrespect him or anything. Many oftentimes, what happens is like, somebody's worshiping in our society, like somebody's worshiping Krishna, but then we hear like something bad about him, and then we all start gossiping about him, and then that person feels left out, and then he probably goes away from the, he goes away from the Krishna consciousness itself, because all the other devotees are like talking bad things about it. So in a way, like if somebody's accidentally falls down, and other devotees like start being judgmental, it can discourage that person very badly. So it's and actually we should not judge. Krishna is a judge. The 6 Goswamis, like they would never like hear bad about anyone. They would close their ears like if somebody was talking bad about the other person. But like most of us are not like, we'll say, oh no, we don't gossip, but we were the first one. Oh, Prabhuji, that happened. Most of us are like that. But here Krishna is telling us that we should not be the judge. Krishna will decide like who is thinking of, who is a real devotee and who's not a real devotee. So that's, we should not be the judge. So now, Srila, the 2 people actually who have commented on this verse is like Baladev Vidyabhushan, and other person is Srila Vishwanath Das Chakravarti. They have commented extensively on this verse, and this is like Baladev Vidyabhushan. This is he says like, he quotes a verse from the Katha Upanishad, which kind of translates as like, one who is like very evil and has all evil desires in his mind can never get the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. But Baladev Vidyabhushan says, but if he comes by some chance, if he starts worshiping Sri Krishna, everything is forgiven. Everything is forgiven, and he can become the most pure devotee. And Srila Vishwanath Das Chakravarti has also said very many things like in this, many things in the same, like they have commented on this, and they both say like we should not like, any person who's worshiping Krishna, even if he's like stealing somebody else's wife or committing murder, he should still be looked upon as a devotee. Because in the big scheme of things, what happens? These are like minor things, and eventually these things will be, if he's chanting Krishna's names, he might get some karma for doing it, but eventually he'll be purified, and he'll become a pure devotee. But one has to stay determined and steadfast in the path. So I'll actually finish here, and we can talk about, we can discuss it more. Thank you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I ask a question?
Sure, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji, do we have any scriptural reference for saying if a Krishna conscious person commits a crime, is better than an atheist person who did not commit a crime?
Oh, well, it's in the verse itself is saying, right? Like this verse itself. I mean, the previous one before this.
No, verse, I read a purport, Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada's purport. He says a person who already committed a crime and now he is wholeheartedly worshipping Krishna, then he is forgiven. He is not to be considered as a sinful person anymore, because he is wholeheartedly worshipping Krishna. But a person who is worshipping Krishna and doing crime, he is a criminal.
One who is worshiping Krishna, but he's not doing. He's doing it because He's because of his conditioning. He doesn't mean like then he feels remorse, you know, and when he feels remorse, he regrets it, and then he asks for forgiveness from Krishna. Such a person will be considered like, you know, like we should consider him as a devotee.
Yeah, if
Like-
he remorse and he gives away, but if he continues doing that, then he's a criminal.
He might
Def-
see what happens is like because of his conditioning, you know, he might like again do it like several times, but eventually because he's praying to Krishna, Krishna is so pure, Krishna purifies his heart and he'll stop doing it. That's the understanding, Prabhu. Like, I mean, that's my understanding. Amritananda Prabhu, would you like to speak
like
on this?
I would like to give example, Prabhuji. Valmiki, Valmiki, like before meeting Narad Muni, he was in the forest.
Yeah.
He was stealing and
stealing.
everything. But
Yeah.
once he met Valmiki, he given up everything. Then, once he met Narad Muni, he given up everything. So
There is a story, Prabhu. He didn't give up everything immediately. He said, you know, like his wife and son was called, and they were asked, like, would you like be, would they take part in, like, you know, would they be in the whatever sinful results, would they take part of it? And his wife and son responded saying, like, you know, they wouldn't, because he is supposed to provide them, and whatever he's doing, he'll have to take the karma for that. That made him realize, you know, that it's not a very good thing to do. And then he had to sit down and he had to chant the name of Rama, like, you know, for many. He was so impure, he couldn't even chant Rama. So they told him to chant Mara. And Mara, because Rama is there in Mara, he became purified. Then he becomes a great saint.
yeah, but
So he was
during
very
practicing
impure.
chanting Rama, he did not commit the murders again.
Yeah,
That's what I know.
exactly. Yeah, but it's quite possible. Like we are all
And
very.
there was one history, Prabhuji. Some I don't want to mention, like, but I read somewhere. Some devotees committed some crime and they were arrested also. So it's not that devotee are like, if he commits a crime.
Prabhuji, like if you break the rules, even in, like, you know, even in, like, you know, there will be, if you break the rules, even there'll be karma even for that. But one thing you have to, that's not the end of it. You know, that's not the end of it. You might be in jail for some years, or similarly, like you know, like even in the grand scheme of things, you heard of Jada Bharat. You know, like he thought of a deer. That's not even a very bad, and he became a deer in his next life, right? But because he was pure and he was thinking of the Lord, eventually that went away, and you know.
No,
So you
but
might be very
my
evil.
point is, Prabhuji, like, this person, a person who is Krishna consciousness, is doing crime means, even after knowing the knowledge about Krishna, he's doing crime means he is more dangerous than a person, atheist, who does not know about Krishna. And so I don't agree that statement, Prabhuji, which, because that's why I was asking, do we have any scriptural evidence for that? Like, that a person who is Krishna consciousness and is doing crime is better than atheist person. I think this sloka does not refer to that. This sloka refers a person who already committed abominable acts, but now he is Krishna devotee. So we should not consider his past. That means he's not, because in present he is a devotee. He completely given up his activities. If he's still continuing the activities, then I don't think so, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, if you read the previous purport to the previous verse, you know, like if you, I don't think.
No, in that Prabhupada mentioned the purport, one who worships wholeheartedly, a person who worships wholeheartedly Krishna, then there will there's no desire to commit more crime, because now wholeheartedly, what does that wholeheartedly mean? Wholeheartedly means Krishna is in his whole heart, so there is no space for to commit a thought, also to commit a crime.
That is not correct, Prabhu. If I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
If I may, Prabhu, you're looking at. There are two ways of looking at a thing. One is from a material perspective, and the other is from a spiritual perspective. Now, sometimes there's an overlap, but depending on what level of consciousness we are responding to a stimuli, on that basis, there's a particular answer. So, say, for example, there is a devotee, and now this devotee commits a crime, whether it's a minor crime or it is a serious crime like murder. Now, from a material perspective, he is a criminal, no doubt. So, if he has stolen something, he may get, say, 1 year jail. And if he has murdered someone, he may get a life imprisonment or even he may get the death penalty. So those are the material way of looking at things, and that's the material law. Now, if you look at it from a spiritual point of view, now in a spiritual point of view, whatever activity, small or large, that we engage in devotional service, that remains forever. That's number one point to keep in mind. And because we do something which is against those principles or those, it doesn't diminish. So in a material condition, if I commit a financial crime, I could lose my house and everything along with it. I could just be wiped out, plus I could get a jail term. But in spiritual life, when we commit a offense, it doesn't negate whatever we have taken. It brings an impediment, it brings a stop. And that stop is a temporary stop. So either in the same lifetime, if the person is fortunate enough, he can renew it, or in the next lifetime, he will get an opportunity. So let's say he's completed 7%. He won't go back, he won't reset. He will carry on from that 7%. So that is one way of looking at it, Prabhu. So what Subala Prabhu is mentioning, when Krishna mentioned in this particular verse, declare it that boldly, my devotee will never perish. So from that perish is in terms of whatever devotion the person has done. Of course, devotees perish. If you look at the body perishes. Great devotees perish. And the other point which you said about wholeheartedly. Now this is, it's not, it's, how would I put it, Prabhu, wholeheartedly, no matter the level of advancement a jiva may make in devotional service, there is always that little element remains. And the more we are surrendering, so you could say wholeheartedly from, let's say, currently we are 0. Somehow or the other, we come into contact with Krishna consciousness. We become 0.1. 0.1 is infinity as compared to 0. Correct? Similarly, 10 is 100 times more than 0.1, and likewise. So you keep going. So when we say wholeheartedly, the person who wholeheartedly surrenders, he is from where he is way ahead. But still, and the reason is, Prabhu, because we have free will. Krishna doesn't interfere with that. Whether we are in a material condition or whether we are in the spiritual realm, we always have a free will. In fact, it's because of our free will, all once upon a time we were with Krishna. It's because of misuse of free will we've come over here. So even as we are surrendering more and more, that free will is always there. And the second aspect is Maya is super powerful. She can come in the guise of devotion and devotional service and lead us astray. So what Krishna says, what Prabhupada and all the acharyas says, these events can happen, will happen. But even if a person transgresses, do not consider him or her on the same level as another ordinary person, whether he's an atheist or worshipping a demigod or someone who's an agnostic. With the devotee, for whatever little work that he has done, Krishna magnifies it, and for Krishna it is very important. So if we are on a spiritual platform and we look at things spiritually, we see that Krishna doesn't judge him. And whatever little bit that he has done, Krishna, for him, it's extremely important. So we, as devotees of Krishna, should also have that same level of respect that Krishna values this person. Not to say Krishna doesn't value an atheistic or an agnostic. Not to say that. Krishna treats him fairly. But a person who engages, uses his free will for Krishna, that person is very special to Krishna. Everyone else is equal to Krishna. So when we understand this about whether it's a murder or whether it is stealing a few dollars or whatever it may be the crime, materially it will be consequences are there. Spiritually, the consequences, it brings an impediment. And no one knows how much time we have. I could, next moment I could leave my body.
Prabhuji, I'm still not satisfied, Prabhuji. Sorry.
That's fine, Prabhu. You can then still find out. That's perfectly fine. If you're not satisfied, my request to you will be, please find out. Just talk to other
Devotee
Vaishnavas,
means
please find out.
devotee is person who does devotional service to the Krishna, right? So if he is not doing devotional service to Krishna, he's doing some other act, he is not a devotee, first of all.
I think these are semantics. Your understanding of devotee, one way is literally even an atheist is a devotee of Krishna. We are all parts and parcel of Krishna. Is there anyone separate from Krishna? No. A pure devotee who is fully surrendered to Krishna sees everyone as a devotee. He makes no distinctions, Prabhu. These distinctions are there for a particular purpose.
I can agree, Prabhuji, but comparing like atheist is better than atheist, a person who is devotee doing a crime is continuously doing crime, I don't agree with it, because you haven't presented any scriptural evidence. The one Krishna says before is somebody who already committed abominable act, but now he is situated in a devotee position, but not once become devotee again doing crime.
Prabhu, scriptural evidences we can go on Veda-base or any one of these search engines and pull up based on search terms. But it may not make any sense to us. So let's say if I quote a particular scriptural reference, it won't make any sense. So what we do is we go based on whatever are the purports and explanations given by the Acharyas and Vaishnavas. So based on what Acharyas and Vaishnavas tell us.
Prabhupada mentioned like a devotee is better, if he commits a murder, he is better than an atheist.
Sorry?
Did Prabhupada mention that like devotee who like Krishna conscious person or any like anybody you say who is continuously doing crime is better than atheist? Did any Acharya mention that?
No,
take that.
it's not, and that's not what my explanation or Subala's explanation has been. The explanation, Prabhuji, is a person who commits a crime and a person who let's say there is somebody who commits a murder and there is a devotee who commits a murder. On a material level, both will be treated or whatever the law of the land will treat them as. Correct? Now, if you look at it from a spiritual point of view, it is different. Now, if you say the devotee continues committing a murder, if the devotee continues committing a murder and an atheist doesn't continue to commit a murder or the crime, whatever is that crime.
Yeah, Prabhuji mentioned even though the atheist does not is not a criminal, but a devotee is a criminal, yet still a devotee is better than atheist. So that's why I did not agree that statement.
No, Prabhuji, should I interrupt? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
So Prabhuji, if you go to ninth chapter, the 30th verse, and read the last statement, Prabhuji, what it says there. If he does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee. Not a high devotee means what? He is not to be considered a devotee, basically. He was earlier a devotee, and he did not improve his character, means he was keeping on doing the crime,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Then he would not be saved.
He's
He
not a
would not.
devotee anymore. Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely.
So that is the important point, Prabhuji. That's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, that we should not keep on doing the crime. If one time accidentally is done or intentionally one time is done, it is acceptable. But if he repeats, then definitely it would.
Yeah, he's not a devotee, definitely.
Yeah.
I agree, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So if you are done, then I have a few questions to Subal.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Sorry, I took a lot of time.
Prabhu, 1 second, Prabhu. Before you ask, Amritananda Prabhu, thank you for putting the idea so nicely. It was like, that's what I was trying to say, but maybe my lack of communication. Thank you so much, Amritananda Prabhu. But Prabhuji, I am
I'm sorry, Prabhuji. If you mean that, I'm totally sorry. Please forgive me. For like.
No. I was trying to know, Prabhu. I'm glad
Ajay
you
Prabhu, these are
but
group discussions. No, it's perfectly all right.
Prabhuji, I would like to explain like a couple of things. Maybe I said that in my words, we have 10 offenses, when you chant the holy name of the Lord. And the 7th offense is doing sinful activities on strength of the holy name of the Lord. So like somebody doing murder, he thinks I can continue to do murders because I'm a devotee. That's a greater sin than that person is really fallen. On the strength of the whole devotional, because you're doing devotional service, you think you can continue to do sins. And other thing, Prabhu, you asked for scriptural reference, like scripture itself, I don't know, but I was this lecture, when I was preparing for this Rompa Swami has given a lecture, and in that he talks about and that's where I got this, somebody who is worse, and that was said by Srila Vishwanath Das Thakur, Chakravarti Thakur, in his purport to the Bhagavad Gita. He says into this verse, he says that. So that's the, otherwise I myself wouldn't have said that, so loudly, because I read it from there. So that's, yeah, Prabhu, we can discuss more about this later. And thank you. Vimal Gupta, Prabhu, you wanted to add something, right?
Yeah, Prabhuji, thank you. It was, a very nice class, Prabhuji. Nice class. You have covered comprehensively, but I don't have that complicated question, but very few simple questions I have, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, here, my simple questions are like sin, right? So, I just want to illustrate what I'm trying to communicate here. So, there are 4 offenses, right? We should not do gambling and all those. Those 4 offenses are there, right? We should not be doing those. So, in this process, so suppose a person is supposed to eat always the prasad, correct? Yeah. Now he goes to a friend's house, and in that process, basically, he eats the food there that is not offered to Lord Krishna as a bhoga. So, is that a sin? So, practical questions I want to put up this. Is this a sin? Like he is eating the prasad food which is not offered to Lord Krishna. Is this a sin?
It's not a sin in the sense, Prabhu. What happens? The consciousness of the person who's cooked the food is there in the food, and when you eat it, that consciousness, it affects you. So in a way, what happens is you're your consciousness comes a little down. You become, if you're 100% Krishna conscious, you might become 95% Krishna conscious because you're eating the food cooked by a non-devotee.
Right. So it's quite trying to understand what is here sin. Sin, what does here sin articulates to or meant? It is meant here. Like if we take an intoxication, we go and take a beer or something like that. Is this a sin? So what is exactly the sin here interprets to?
No, all these things are taking us away. Our consciousness is getting less. We're becoming less Krishna conscious. All these activities make us less Krishna conscious. The gambling, intoxication. You understand what point, Prabhu? See, if you're drinking alcohol, your thinking, it affects your thinking, right?
Right. So spiritually, is it called a sin? That's what I'm trying to understand, Prabhu. See, materially, I'm not going there. Materially, we may not treat it as sin, but spiritually, right? Now, Srila Prabhupada says that we should always be away from the 4 things, correct? Now, I have taken...
Anything that takes us away from Krishna is a sin, like
Sin. Got it.
pap. I don't know if it's sin, the definite in Hindi, like if you, I mean, in Sanskrit, it's papa. I don't know if it's papa, but it it might not get you like some negative, like, you know, like say you murder somebody, it's papa, you know, and because of that, you're going to get like, you're going to be punished either materially or spiritually. Now, these things may not, you might not have a reaction in a sense like that somebody's punishing you, but what happens, your thinking, like your consciousness, you'll be less inclined to perform devotional service. That's taking you away from Krishna. When you do these activities, you'll be less inclined to devotional. The more you indulge in these things, you'll be less inclined to do devotional service. You understand me, Prabhu? So that's taking you away from Krishna. That's why we're told, like, if you think about it, like the Pandavas, they did everything. Like, you know, they were drinking alcohol, they were gambling, they were doing, they would break they were breaking even, but they still considered devotees because they were in close association with the Lord. But we are not like that.
Right, Prabhuji. This verse says that if you have committed a sin and you have kept on chanting, then you get blessings here again, or blessings of Lord Krishna, or the goddess Durga. I don't know who will punish the person, but
what happens is like, okay, let's say you're not eating prasadam, you're eating food, you're eating non-veg food, all right? But because you have a chanting, eventually what happens, your desire to eat, because Krishna sitting in your mind is purifying you, your desire to eat that non-veg food will go away.
Got it. Yeah, and there's a second situation.
Sorry?
There's a second situation. He's done a sin, he's not chanting. Then basically he doesn't come under the purview of Lord Krishna. It goes to Goddess Durga.
Yeah, then there are other forces of nature or the demigods taking control, but once you're surrendered to Krishna, you know, to the degree you surrender to him, he'll take care of you.
Okay.
I hope I've actually, otherwise some Amritananda Prabhu or Simeshwar Prabhu or someone can.
I don't know, Simeshwar, he would be the best, Prabhu would be the best person to answer this
Slightly complicated.
No, it's sin, Prabhu. What Subala Prabhu said is, anything which takes us away from Krishna is sin, and anything which brings us towards Krishna is sin. Now, in this very particular thing which you said, if I go to a friend's house, and let's say they have invited you and they made it with onion garlic, or
Correct.
even it could be a relative's place, because
Correct.
for a grasti it is pretty difficult to maintain the 4 regulative principles, but it's doable. Huh? It's doable as compared to a brahmachari or a sannyasi. So what happens in this case? Is there a reaction? Now, this question several years ago, I asked Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Because say, for example, non-veg, Prabhu, it's not eating non-veg. The person who buys non-veg, the person who transports non-veg, the person who cooks the meat, the person who serves the meat, everyone is implicated in the sin of taking an innocent life. So whatever is that karma for that, you get it. So you can say that is a sin. Okay. So my job is in sales and business development. And I have to what they call wine and dine, which is literally one regulative principle of breaking alcohol.
Correct.
And doing the meat, because here everyone eats meat, 99.99%. So all the customers, everyone else. So I asked Maharaj, of course, I myself do not eat meat or drink alcohol, but the fact that I'm buying, I'm implicated in that karma. I asked Picharu Maharaj what to do. So he says, why do you do it? I said, for my job. He's saying, why are you working? So I got a little confused. So I said, I'm working to earn money and, to maintain my family. So he raised his eyebrows and he says, your family? I said, yeah, Maharaj, my family. So again he asked. Then I said, I'm giving the wrong answer. He says, why don't you go with the consciousness that this is Krishna's family and you're the caretaker of this family, and your job requires whatever Lakshmi or whatever you earn. In such a situation, it becomes an act of devotional service. So what matters, an act per se is neutral. the intent, purpose, and whom the benefit is for. That decides whether something is material or something is spiritual. If it is material, there is a karmic reaction. If it is spiritual, it is a karma. The same very act. So, for example, you could light a matchstick to burn an agarbatti and offer the fragrance to the deity. And the very same act of burning a matchstick, we could use it for smoking a cigarette for our sense pleasure. So that matchstick is neutral. If it is for offering incense for Krishna's pleasure, it is spiritual. If it is for my pleasure, it is material, for which there are consequences. And that's where the question of sin, etc., falls into place. Now, the practical application is when we go to a relative's place or a friend's house or whatever circle. Now, there are certain things where, like let's say, when I go to a relative's house and if there is meat, they know now over a period of time, this fellow is a Hare Krishna. So they also go out of their way to make without onion garlic. But sometimes you may not want to inconvenience somebody. You may not want to inconvenience somebody. So if a polite excuse can be made, then it is possible. Many a times, and especially if you're in India, you can always say, "Nahi, aaj mera upvas hai, mera vrat hai." You know, there are many such situations which happen that you could do. But if you're caught and you're this, then there is no question of the sin, so to say. It's kind of a helpless. It's you don't intend. You're not going to your friend's house to eat. I don't know, some.
Right. We should
Great.
not repeat it, basically, Prabhuji. That is
Yeah,
what.
not repeated. It can happen in the again also later on. But if your intention is not there, then there, don't worry about sin.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
got it.
these are the applications of thing. But yeah, it's very nice. You people, everyone, devotees are asking questions. Ajay Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have one question on this nectar of devotion here. The point number 2, which says that eating more than necessary. So this is like Prasad eating more than necessary, Prabhuji, that on the devotional service.
I had the similar questions in my
And
early days.
the second point was this one, Sir Prabhuji. The fifth one, associating with worldly minded persons who are not Krishna interested in Krishna consciousness. Like we talking to our parents, they are not Krishna conscious. So will this get implicated? This clause?
Subala Prabhu, you'd want to feel that, or?
Prabhuji, like associating with worldly mind, you can give like I don't know if it was Srila Prabhupada said or one of the Maharajas said like you don't take their association, you give them your association. So that way they are influenced by Krishna consciousness. Same way your parents are your parents. They Krishna and Krishna made them your parents, and you have to like they're like God.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you have to influence them in a way, like and other people, like if they bring negativity and all these things into you, it's better to stay away from those people. I mean, in our course of like a job, and we are forced to mingle with other people and associate with them, but we can like keeping our own spirituality strong, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, we can see that we're not affected by whatever they're telling us. You follow, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji, this is very, very difficult to, like we have close friends. They are not Krishna conscious. They don't want to become Krishna conscious, but they are still close friends. So does it mean that we should stop associating with the close friends? So, it's slightly, I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing, Prabhu. This is what I've seen. Like the longer you're in Krishna consciousness, what happens? All the people, like who they become Krishna conscious along with you, to some degree, or they all fall off. Like you don't associate with them so much. This has been my experience over the years.
Got it. That's really good. Yeah, I got it.
So it just happens naturally, like
Correct.
you have no interest in what they're doing.
Correct.
And if they have some interest in what you're doing, they'll come along with you. They'll come to the temple. They may come to your home programs. all that. They might not become completely devoted like you, but they start, others who have no interest, they'll stop coming to your house similarly because you have no interest in what they're doing.
Correct, Prabhu.
You won't go to
Agree.
their house. It might not be like you're fighting with them or anything, but that happens eventually.
Slowly we disassociate. Correct. I agree,
Yeah.
Prabhu. That's happening to me also.
Prabhuji, I like very much Subal Prabhu mentioned earlier, like anything which is not helping to become Krishna consciousness, anything it's pulling away you from Krishna consciousness is sin. So it is helping us to become Krishna consciousness, definitely, and also it's helping others when you meet non-devotees. I believe, like I'm trying. Even I have my close friend who is not Krishna consciousness. I try to, but he's very into his own world. He's not. I think I'm not that pure to convert him or like means to influence him with Krishna's mercy or. But yeah, anything if it is stopping from devotion, becoming Krishna consciousness, it's better we have to choose because we don't have a lot of time on this planet. That's what I believe.
No, what Subal Prabhu told, right? As we are doing chanting, right, that will help us in disassociating on its own, and we would stop, disconnected slowly. It's not a overnight disconnection, but it will take time, take a year or
True,
2
Prabhuji.
years. That it all slowly we get disconnected. That is the power of the chanting. If you do more chanting, yes, that will happen. And I agree with Subal Das Prabhu.
My association with other non-Krishna conscious friends reduced actually because I am trying to grow myself. So if they're talking all different topics altogether, and if I raise Krishna consciousness, some are like even though they're not listening, they're talking against Krishna consciousness. So I felt it's better not talk in that association about Krishna, because if they're accepting, if I'm talking, if they're accepting, it's good, and even if they respect me, they'll listen at least. But if you're talking in reverse, something else, arguing, so I stopped talking about Krishna in that group. I don't know whether I'm doing correct or not. Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji, it's a good thing you stop talking because, like, when they talk against Krishna, they might be committing offenses again. So it's better, like, you don't do that so that they don't commit offenses. So for their own good.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just wanted to share one point.
Yeah.
Like, see, if they are our close friends, so at least we can do one thing. We can give them offered bhoga, means prasad. So that is the first stage when we also started ISKCON through prasad. So it starts purifying them. If they are really close friends and we want to change them, because Prabhupada's mission is to change the whole world, not to disconnect them from us. If we are devotee, so this is our duty to make everyone like Krishna conscious. It will take time depending upon their karmas, right? But our intention should be, otherwise, how Prabhupada did, he came to New York, he was so old, 7 months he just cooked and fed all these, like the people, hippies, right? What they
Yes,
were doing.
Mataji, you're very
If
right.
if he would have done like this, today people become disciple of Prabhupada, right? If we have that intention, at least we are not at Prabhupada's level, but we can at least start. So we can make cookies. If they are friend or colleague or our neighbor, just make cookies, give them prasad. Prasad will help them. And if we are chanting, if they will say our tilak, our chanting bag in our hand, so they will change. One day, like my Prabhuji and myself, we used to walk in our neighborhood with the chanting bag early morning. So people used to watch us all neighborhood, they were knowing. Now we moved here, everybody is missing. Oh, that couple chanting all the time. People were asking, what is this? Anything happened to your hand or something like this? And one driver, my daughter's bus driver, he just wanted to know about this. And luckily I was having extra chanting bag and beads, and I gave him and I taught him how to chant. And he said, I'm chanting and I'm started Bhagavad Gita. And then he talked about that George Harrison, how he donated and all that. And he started reading Prabhupada's book. So at least we can start somewhere at some point, because Prabhupada's mission is like this. We should not disconnect from the people. We have to make them understand, like how Gaur Gopal Prabhuji said about that fair and lovely example. When they will see and they will say, oh, why you are glowing? What is the reason, right? And then we tell them, okay. And then the experience is there, then we can share our experience. They will feel, oh, why you are so happy, always blissful. So what is the reason? So we can share them, right? So that is the Prabhupada's mission. So we should not do that. We have to just give them prasad. Even our temple, they have so much prasadam left over. Take them, give them, they will be happy also. Everybody likes prasad. Everybody likes food, first thing. So I think, I don't know, I talked too
True,
much.
Mataji. Very true, Mataji. I did sometimes, but you reminded me. Thank you very much, Mataji. That's very good idea to distribute prasad. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
always we can make anything, even halwa, we can make offer and give them. They are close friends, right? We don't want to just leave them. So we can make starting somewhere. Sorry if I said something
Oh, no,
too
No,
no,
much.
Mataji,
you're right.
you're very
The,
correct. Like what we said, like we give them our association, but we don't take their association. Like
Yeah,
in number 5, it talks about associating with, taking their association. Actually, you give them, like Srila Prabhupada was giving his association to all the hippies. He was not
yeah,
taking anything. Like,
yeah,
correct.
yeah. We should not take. They say if you put the flower on the soil, soil will get the fragrance of rose, but rose will not get fragrance of with that gandha of earth.
yeah,
So if we are really good devotee, so we don't get affected by others. They will get our what we are doing, right? So we
yeah.
should not take their bad things.
Yeah, like if you don't have to get associated with other people, then I think the best way is like, of course, chanting and like reading Srila
Yeah.
Prabhupada's books is very important. Like that way we're constantly, and I mean, of course, listening to all the lectures and,
Actually, Prabhuji, see, same Amritananda Prabhuji, the same field, my Prabhuji also in sales, and he has to go to these parties, alcohol and meat eating. But I was always telling him, okay, let them do. It's okay. The company's card is there, they are taking, because it's your job. You just keep Krishna, you just pray to Krishna, okay, this is my job, and I cannot do anything, and I cannot change these American people, right? But now he went to India 5 weeks. He was there, and his friends were taking him to different dhabas and all that. But all his friends, they were eating without garlic onion food. Even they were non-vegetarian. They didn't order non-veg. They were eating. So I said, okay, you did wonderful service. At least some point, at least they didn't eat garlic and onion, right? So we can make it like this, because people, if they really want our association, they really want us, they will do something for us, no, right? But we should not take bad things from them. Okay, they are eating, so we should also eat. So we can do that. We can have that habit. Sorry, Prabhuji. I
oh, no,
just,
Mataji, wonder, like what you said is perfect. Like, thank you.
I know in this world it's very difficult. We have to manage so many things with the relatives, mostly with the relatives.
Right. Yeah.
But we cannot delete from our life relatives, right?
Yeah.
we have
Like,
to, we
yeah.
have to delete, like every day you have to deal with them.
And
But,
especially with parents, what I've noticed is, Prabhu Mataji, like if they see that you're sincere, they'll become curious. They'll start
hmm,
asking you more questions and they start chanting themselves.
yeah, definitely, Prabhuji. It happens. My
Yeah.
my in-law started chanting now, watching us. Oh, they are in America. Kids are doing everything, playing mridanga. When he was buying mridanga, his friends were saying, "What you will do in America, mridanga?" When he buys stuff, Indian stuff for us, people say, "Oh, they are wearing skirt and all that saris there." They say, "My wife likes this only." So they feel like, oh, in America they are doing, but they will be curious. Like if Prabhupada's intention was like that only, because in India they just follow Western, whatever Westerns are they doing, they follow. So how Prabhupada's vision was, they will follow us now. The people, Indian people, these American people, Russian people, how they are doing like this, little kids saying shlokas. So one day they will realize, oh, they are doing, so we should also do this. And it will happen, but it will take time.
Yes, Mataji.
No, and I think if I may just add one point is that if you are proud of what you do and you have great pride and you're not ashamed of what you do, I found especially in this country, everybody, like even at when you're working, everybody is very respectful and of you. They will never run you down. So if you say that I don't eat onion garlic because it's my religious belief, I found I think 99.9% of people are appreciative and respectful
Yeah,
of,
yeah, Mataji, that's true.
right?
And
So
even
nobody has I've not come across one individual who has ridiculed me or questioned me or
even
so
we put on tilak also, they ask sometimes curiously, oh, what is this, right? If we wear sari, sometimes I go before temple, I go to Costco with the saris and this gopi dress. They appreciate so much. They say, oh, it's so lovely dress like this. Means they never discriminate. They never say, oh, what they are doing like this. Even about tilak also. In India now, I don't know, some schools they don't allow to put tilak. I think Christian schools, but here nobody says like this. Even garlic onion also nobody says, "Oh, why you are not eating," and all that. One day I asked Jai Prakash Prabhuji, "How did you manage, Prabhuji?" He said, I just tell them I have allergy. Nobody says anything to me." So,
that's true.
and nobody forces here, right? Nobody interferes in our like personal life.
I mean, in my office, I just used to say that it's my religious belief, so I don't eat meat
Yeah,
or whatever
and
it
they
is.
they
And,
respect our religious thing.
correct. So you once you say that, people are very respectful.
Yeah, even now my friends they invite me if they want me. Okay, I say I will come to your program, but they Mataji, they specially make for us food without garlic onion because they want our association, and that is a true friendship, right? And we
Yep.
don't go to eat only. We just want to go to meet people and having get together because we don't want to stay away from everyone. We had to stay in this world also, no? Not only like, and slowly people are they are asking about temple, asking about everything, about kids, so what they are doing, like playing mridanga, singing. So they are curious now, they want to make their children now like this. So watching, but just watching us, like if we are really sincere, like how Prabhupada gave us such a treasure, we can use this everywhere. And one, like I shared with Krishnamanda Prabhuji, one of my friend, she got divorced before she met me 1 year prior. And then I was just telling her everything like positive about Krishna consciousness. I was giving her leftover prasadam, gave her chanting bag, and I asked her to that. And then I was her ex-husband was bothering her so much. Then I said, you don't respond. You just be just don't do anything or give positivity. If he is talking bad thing, you don't respond. So last month, I just met her walking, and she said she went to Balaji temple, and her in-laws were there, and she did pranam and all that, and he blessed. And after 1 month, he left the body, and he blessed before that, before leaving the body. And then now her ex-husband, he wants to come together. So that will make lot of difference. This prasadam, chanting, and about Prabhu. I was sending her lectures also. I was saying just keep on in your house, like it will be make positive vibration, and see how it is working. Like it's good, right? So we got such a treasure. We had to use everywhere. Means they are
True.
coming together. So it's really amazing, Prabhupada, like what Prabhupada gave us, isn't it?
Yes, Mataji.
Absolutely.
True, Mataji.
I must say, Mataji, this all is influencing us also on the call.
No,
Thank you for sharing.
because Prabhuji, we have such a nice congregation like Krishna Namanda
Yeah.
Prabhuji always, because I also went to so many problems, but he always gave me such a positive vibration, always. Initially, I was having so many obstacles, but he was saying, no, first serve Prabhuji, take care of your family first. And I did, and see, now my Prabhuji is also in Krishna consciousness, got initiated, and not now he's coming with me also, and Madhupati Prabhuji also, like so much when we were having problem, health problem, and they supported me so much, and all devotees, all Matajis are so nice. We should take good qualities from each one, and we can make our life very nice, successful, happy, and we can give to others also then.
That's very true. Thank you for sharing.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I am just talking too much, maybe.
No, but it was very much needed. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Subal Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. I just want to read the purport, like Srila Prabhupada has written, like, it's here. Janasanga refers to associating persons not interested in Krishna consciousness. One should strictly avoid such association. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has therefore advised us to live only in association of Krishna conscious devotees. One should always engage in the service of the association of lost devotees. Association with those engaged in similar line of business is conducive to advancement in that business. Consequently, materialistic persons from various association clubs to enhance their endeavors. For example, in the business world, we find such institutions, the Stock Exchange and Chamber of Commerce. Similarly, we have established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to give people an opportunity to associate with those who have not forgotten Krishna. This spiritual offered by our ISKCON movement is increasing day by day. Many people from different parts of the world are joining this society to awaken their dormant Krishna consciousness. That's right, Mataji. So we should actually invite people, see whatever, it takes to make them come to Krishna consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Any other questions? Sameshwara Prabhu, I think we can finish it. And Amritananda Prabhu, thank you very much for, like you put everything very succinctly.
Thank Ajay Prabhu, Bimal Prabhu.
Oh yeah,
Satyabhama
thank you,
Mataji.
Ajay Prabhu and
These
Bimal
questions
Prabhu.
is what gets everyone thinking and makes Krishna conscious practical aspects.
Yes, very, very, very true, Prabhu. Yeah, otherwise makes us think.
Thank you, Prabhu. If no one has, I think Simeshwar Prabhu has some other engagement.
Maybe he is in the temple, Prabhuji. Maybe he is in the service.
Temple. Yeah. So if no one has a question or a comment, we can bring it to a close.
Right. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Subal Prabhu.
Thank you
very much for a nice class.
Thank you.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Vaishnavibhyo namo
namah.
Vrinda ki jai.
Anthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Premanandi Hari Hari.
Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Subal Prabhuji. Very nice.
Thank you, Subal Prabhu.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Prabhuji.